Want to join me on an adventure today? Cracking the code to your subconscious mind? And you might ask yourself, what for actually? Why would I want to know that? I'm going to tell you. Keep in mind, you might not believe me, but even if you think you make the most analytical and objective decisions, we're usually influenced by our subconscious mind. And in most of the cases, we make decisions based on our subconscious mind. The better you understand yourself and the better you understand your subconscious mind, the easier it is to navigate. And I'd like to take you on a journey right back to the time when you were born. So here you are. This is you. What do you remember from these days? I bet you most likely say nothing, which is very common. You barely recall moments from our teeny tiny baby times, but it's not nothing that happened to you, right? There was something happening. You lived those 2 years. You lived as a baby. These times are just not in your active memory bank, right? And the reason for it is those very first years of your own life is your foundation. It's like the foundation of your own building. And now, if you look at the brainwave state during that period of time in the very first 2 years, it's called delta. And delta is a very, very slow brainwave. When we as adults experience delta, it's usually during sleep. Our brainwaves become quite slow, and the body is in restoration mode. And as the baby, you do experience this delta brainwave state, and that's really like building the foundation. It's focused on the absolute basic needs. If you grow a tiny bit older, look at this, between the age of 2 and 6, it's the next stage. Within that stage, your brainwaves get a little bit more active. And what is it that you do then? Of course, it's playtime. You're discovering the world. You're having a very active mind. You're visualizing. You are doing role plays. One day you feel like you're a pirate. The next day, maybe you're an astronaut. It's the realm of the fantasy land. Whatever we imagine within our heads feels very, very real. We visualize a coffee banquet in a palace, and everything feels noble in an instant. We sense a tiger luring behind some bushes, or a monster underneath the bed. And all this becomes very real. We feel it, we sense it, and in our imagination, we can even see it. And as I mentioned, it's the next brainwave state as well, called theta, and they are a bit more active. And when we as adults experience the theta brainwave state, we are very drowsy. It's like in a deep meditation, being deeply relaxed. Next stage, between the ages of 6 and 12, we're moving into alpha brainwave state. And you know, children between the age of 6 and 12, they're more connected to the reality, so to say. It's still play and it's still role play, but not as intense. The world gets a bit less magical. We also have already adapted to the reality we experience surrounding us, to function in the world with its circumstances as they are. We as adults experience alpha even when we are watching television because there's a slight relaxation, or when we are driving the car and allowing our thoughts to wander or to daydream. And from 12 onwards, it's like this beautiful, magical dream world stepped aside, and we are now in the beta brainwave state, which means very analytical, logical thinking comes into our lives. But our subconscious mind is not gone from age 12 onwards when beta is dominant. We still do love stories, and if you look at movies, they are our modern day fairy tales. Looking at this, in what sense does it help you to understand your subconscious mind? See, the subconscious mind can be accessed if you go into those brainwave states, if you move out of the beta into the alpha, theta, or delta. When we are pushing the analytical mind aside for a while, the information is being carried by the emotions, by the perceptions, and by the images. And this is exactly the language of the subconscious mind. This is what you need to know in order to understand how your subconscious mind functions. It's driven by feelings, perceptions, and images. And this is also why we usually learn better if we have all perceptions involved. I mean, some people are more visual, some are more auditive, but these senses are important for us. And what does it mean for you? First of all, it's important what kind of images you see, the perceptions and feelings you receive. So what you consume on a sensual level does have an impact. It's entering your subconscious mind. Do you really need to allow your system to be flushed with all these horror stories? Do you really benefit from them? And if not, like what would feel nourishing for your system instead? But also when images, feelings, perceptions are talking to you, there's a communication going on with your subconscious mind. So now that you understand the language of your subconscious mind, how can you use it actually in a practical way? In the most instances, when you meet a challenge, very often the reactions do not come from that very moment. Very, very often. It can be, but very often it's from the past. Some emotions are coming to the surface, some images are coming to the surface, reminding you of what happened then. And whenever you have the time to just reflect on them for a moment, this means you are going to connect to your subconscious mind and giving it space, just a few seconds. And this helps you already to understand yourself better, to understand this part of yourself better, which is massive. It's like always, if you visualize this massive iceberg, the tip of it is just our conscious mind, and everything underneath, the biggest part of it, that's the subconscious mind. So having this knowledge at your hands now means that you can use it to your benefits. You can now really allow yourself to see these different worlds as part of you, but also realizing what is communicated in a non-analytical way towards you from the subconscious mind. I hope this was helpful. I hope this inspired you to dive deeper into this fascinating world of yourself, of your own inner realm. If you feel you anyhow enjoyed it, leave a comment down below, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Take good care and goodbye for now.